Welcome to Rearranging Change, how you market to an ever-changing world. I'm your host, Steve McChesney. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we're going to continue with our 5-part series on the generations and how we talk to each of them a little bit differently and how we market to them. And a little later on, we're going to have Ron Seggi join us with another interview from his vault. But right now, let's get on with Generation X. Generation X, or Gen X as they're known, were born between 1968 and 1979. Now, currently, they're in their late 30s to the mid-50s, and they make up about 20% of the population. Now, they got their name from a book called Generation X, Tales for an Accelerated Culture. Now, in hindsight, it might have been better if they would have called them Generation A, because we're going to run out of letters here pretty soon. You know, another name attached to this group were latchkey kids. Now, a latchkey kid was simply a child who came home from school and nobody was home. Remember, their parents, both mom and dad, went to work. They wanted to bring more money and more income into the house, so they were both gone. So these kids would come home to an empty house. Now, this caused them to become independent, and that's really kind of good news. They learned how to cook, they learned how to clean, they learned how to take care of crisis. They became very independent, and they've carried this into their adult lives. And because they witnessed their parents being workaholics, they focus on a clearer balance between work and family. They are self-starters and self-sufficient. It is, however, a double-edged sword. Their ability to survive on their own includes if they're not happy with a job, they'll leave it. If they're not happy in a relationship, they leave it. Their divorce rate increased over any other generation. They defined the term single-parent family. They're also the first daycare generation, putting that business model on the map. They have that carpe diem attitude to make the most of the current time and give little thought to the future. And they are the first generation to become comfortable with technology. Some of their characteristics include expecting immediate and ongoing feedback, and they're comfortable with giving feedback to others. They mistrust institutions. They also mistrust politicians. They value control of their time. They prefer to trust people instead of a company, and they work smarter, not harder. When it comes to money, they are cautious and conservative. They adapt well to change. This makes them a good candidate for any company. However, a few of the keys to working with them is to give them time to pursue other interests. Again, the work-family balance. They work to live, not live to work. They work with you, not for you. Keep that in mind. Also, some of the events that helped shape their lives. In 1974, we had Nixon resigning because of the Watergate scandal. In 1981, we had the first AIDS case. Now, this was a societal change again. They say that sometimes you have a silver lining in every dark cloud, and this is one of those cases. Now, this is not to undermine at all the AIDS epidemic, but it is to show you that there is some silver lining. Because of that deadly disease, gay people were able to come out of the closet. That was the beginning of them being freely able to come out of the closet, and that turned out to be a good thing as far as we are today. But at the time, it was very devastating, and that was 1981. In 1986, we had the Challenger disaster. Now, we talked about the other two generations. With the silent generation, they had the War of the Worlds broadcast, which made them fearful that we could be invaded by aliens. It made them think of outer space a little bit differently. And then, of course, in the baby boomers, we actually went to the moon. So we saw we could leave the planet. In this time, in the Challenger disaster, it showed there was danger involved in leaving the planet when that shuttle blew up. Then in 1989, we had the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the beginning of the environmental movement for this planet. In 1989, we also had the fall of the Berlin Wall. Hey, peace, until a year later. In 1990, we had the Gulf War. 1991, we had the end of the Cold War. In 1993, the ATF invaded a little ranch in Waco, Texas, occupied by the Branch Davidians. That was the first time we started to see that we had some elements in our country and some sex in how we attacked Americans on our own soil. In 1999, we had the Y2K scare. Now, I don't know about you, but that scared me. I remember spending days backing up my computer on floppy disks. Don't have to worry about that anymore, do we? We got cloud computing. Now, when you're marketing to this generation, you need to recognize their independence. That's the main thing. Let them decide. Is that going to be cash or credit? Always give them an either or choice. They like to be direct. Use straight talk and present the facts. And you need to tie your message to the results. Those are the most important key ingredients. So that's it for the Generation X for this week. We'll be right back with our buddy Ron Seggi. My friends, I'd like to offer you a free copy of my international best-selling book, Rearranging Change, How You Market to an Ever-Changing World. Just simply go to rearrangingchange.com. That's rearrangingchange.com. Rearrangingchange.com. I will pay for your book. You simply pay for the shipping and handling. Once again, a little gift from me. Rearranging Change, How You Market to an Ever-Changing World. Go to my website, rearrangingchange.com, and get your free copy today. All right, and joining us right now, once again, my buddy, Ron Seggi. Hello,
Hi,
Ron.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm surviving the COVID-19 quarantine. You?
We will have to. It's the only way to go. And I'm a little bit concerned about some of the people who want to step out and prematurely, get out there and start doing it again. It's a very tough, very difficult road to go down because it's the health versus the economy. And, both are important.
They really are. I get it. People are, they're getting some cabin fever, but at the same time, we got to do what we got to do to survive here. So, folks, be safe, stay inside. Don't go out unless you need to. I know that they're talking about opening the bars so people can be outside or 25% capacity inside. And I get that, but do you really need to go to the bar? I mean, really? I know it's the socialization that people want to get out, and especially people that are single, they want to go out and meet somebody. They're not meeting them in their backyard, that's for sure. And I get that too. But we all got to be safe. And hey, what do I know? All I know is that I got Ron Seggi on my show, and he's bringing me an interview. Who you got with first this week?
Okay. I have a gentleman that is very, very unique, and his name is Marcus Lamonis.
Oh, he's the guy from Good Sam, isn't he?
And The Prophet on NBC.
Oh, yeah.
And Camping World.
Right.
This guy is unbelievable. And you're going to love this interview. I mean, honest with you, I don't even want to tell what he's going to talk about when it comes to he lost and how much he's put forth in investments. I'm going to let you hear for itself, and then we'll chat about it.
Okay, well, let's take a listen.
All across the USA and around the world, it's Ron Seggi today. I was just telling our guest before we went on the air, I've been in business, oh my goodness, since the mid-'70s, and I know how difficult it is for people being in business and being successful in it. And then I'm amazed at those who would be able to undertake it successfully for so many years. And that's the case of our next guest. He is chairman and CEO of Camping World and Good Sam Enterprises. And he's also the host of this great show, Tuesdays on CNBC at 10 o'clock, The Prophet. Joining us right now is Marcus Lamonis. Marcus, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Very happy. How are you?
I'm doing good. And I meant what I said. You watch the Shark Tank, you watch all of these other shows, and we just had somebody from the Shark Tank on the other day. But I really like The Prophet because you do something that the other shows don't do. You get your hands dirty. And I love that.
I think the big difference, and I think the reason people like it, is because they want to take a deeper dive into what actually happens in business. And I think, when you hear from some of the sharks, they talk about, it's just got to be percentages and numbers and dollars and cents. And I just don't believe that that's what business is about. I really believe there's a lot more to it. And it really is about people. And I think that's one of the things that people like about The Prophet.
I think, though, what amazes me is what you do is that you go into places where people sometimes are novices. And I know you agree with the fact that a lot of people will have a lot of product or service knowledge, but they don't have any business knowledge. And my philosophy over the past 40 years has been never get involved with someone who has not at least made one payroll, okay? But you seem to have a different philosophy, and that is, look, I'll take care of the business end of it as long as you have the product knowledge.
Yeah, I think what I'm really looking to do, if you really kind of boil it all down, I'm really investing in an individual. more than I am investing in an infrastructure. I really feel like that's my responsibility to bring the infrastructure and put a process in place. But you're essentially investing in people. And there's so many people out there that just, quite frankly, need a break. And the next great idea, the next great business could come from somebody that has a ton of passion and the right amount of humility and the right amount of sort of focus, but they just don't have necessarily the knowledge. Mm-hmm. You know, you always try to get a job when we're younger, and they say you need more experience. And you can only get experience if you're given a break.
Right.
Well, I think my job is really to give people a break. And that's what I'm here for.
But how do you protect yourself, Marcus, against that one individual? I mean, I had the same thing. I was 14 years old, and I was chugging around radio stations trying to get a job, and they said, you're too young and go get experience. How do you do that? You know, but somebody gave me a break. But if you invested in me, in a business that I had, and I wish I would have back in the days when I owned radio stations and advertising agencies, I could have used you, Marcus. But when you invest in a person, and that one person either doesn't work out or unfortunately something happens to that person, how do you recoup an investment when they're the key employee?
You know, I think the biggest challenge is that when you're going to make an investment in a business, you're really making it in an individual, and you have to hope that what they're doing, you know, makes sense, and you have to hope that what they're doing is going to be, you know, we're kind of riddled with integrity and the sort of things that you need. But there are times where you get involved in business and people take advantage of you, and I try not to let it sort of phase me for the next one. But, you know, there's been plenty of deals that I've lost money. I've invested over $30-something million of my own money in 2.5 years on the show. And about 3 of it has gone bad. It's gone very bad. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's kind of business, right? You win some, you lose some, and you can't do much about it.
And there's probably a listener out there saying, well, you invested $30 million, you lost 3, that's only 10%, that's not bad odds. $3 million is a lot of money to throw out the window.
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is important. I've lost $3 million. That money's gone.
Yeah.
And so the other $27 million is still invested in businesses that are thriving or still chugging along.
Right.
But there's no sort of guarantees with any of that. And so in some of the cases, I've had to put more money in some of the businesses. In other cases, I haven't. Mm-hmm. It's hard to make money, and so I take it very seriously.
Sure, absolutely.
Very hard to make money.
One of the things that I've noticed on the show, Marcus, is the fact that usually when people, and the Shark Tank does this all the time, they want the big number. They want the big percent. Okay, I'll give you, $8,000, but I want 51%. You many times take a minority percentage. How do you protect yourself in that scenario?
Well, it's funny. I think people get confused. You can be a minority partner in a business and structure the deal in a sort of way that gives you the same exact thing you'd have if you have, 51%. And
right.
One of the worries that I always have about doing business with folks is making sure that they still have enough skin in the game to be interested.
Right.
And so for someone like me, all I really care about is making sure that the economics are right for me and that the return on investment is sound. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I need to have 51% to be able to control it, because you can document it at some point in a way that says, look, I gave you a check. These are the things you have control of. These are the things you do not. Do you agree, yes or no? And if you don't agree, then, we don't have a deal.
We don't have a deal. What about the advice that people give? Say, don't invest in a business you have no knowledge in. Now, you do that all the time. I mean, business. Business is business is business. Sales is sales is sales. But when you come right down to you're in an ice cream business right now. And before you were in it, I don't know, did you, you probably ate ice cream, but you didn't make it.
I ate ice cream, but that was it. Well, there are certain businesses that I'm comfortable because I feel like the core competencies are the same. But there are some businesses that I won't invest in. A good example would be I don't invest in technology. I don't invest in anything in technology because I don't understand it. I don't know it. I'm intimidated by it. And so I have no investments of any kind. But I do invest in industries that I understand. So I understand manufacturing. I understand retail. I understand food. And so it doesn't really matter what the sector is. But I don't invest in industries that I don't know, and technology would be a good example.
Yeah, and the other thing, it changes so quickly. How do you even keep up with it? You got to be, awake 48 hours a day. As chairman and CEO of the very successful Camping World and Good Sam Enterprises, with almost 10,000 employees in over 100 cities, how do you run that Marcus, and do this show and all of the tentacles that this show has as a result of investing your time, energy, and money into other businesses? How do you do that in the course of a day? And I know people have a lot to do with it, but you still got to manage people.
Yeah, the bulk of my life is really spent on my Camping World business. And yeah, the show does take up some time, but I'm just really, really resourceful with the time in my day. I think the other thing is I've surrounded myself with amazing people, and I know people say that all the time, but I would not be doing this show if I wasn't comfortable with the management team that I have. And quite candidly, a lot of the folks that are part of my Camping World business, sometimes when I'm not filming and I come back to the office for a couple of weeks, they kind of laugh and they say, all right, are you ready to go back on the road again? Because they enjoy sort of the ability to run their business. A business can't be run by one person, and it's got to be run, for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And this is maybe the best advice I can give people. You will know if the business is successful, if it's successful long after you're gone.
Right.
That's how you'll know.
Marcus, I was 29 years old when I bought my first radio station, and I thought I could be, everything. And now in my senior years, getting things done, driving results is through collaboration, partnership, and relationships. And that's, I know, what you say every day in your business environment.
I think the biggest thing that I worry about when I get up in the morning is how am I going to keep people motivated, and how am I going to, find partners that make sense, and how am I going to find team members that make sense? That's the thing that keeps me up at night. Not what did we sell yesterday or today, but how do you keep people motivated, and how do you keep them going? Right. That's the thing that scares me the most.
And I like what you say about being popular. It's not about being the good boss. I mean, from the standpoint, hey, let's have a big rah, and a huge cheer every morning for the boss. The scoreboard is measured by your employees, your customers, and your family. And that's what you do successfully. I admire what you do, Marcus. I really do. I'm a fan of the show, and I'm a fan of your philosophy in the business world.
I really appreciate that. And, being in business does come with some sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
You miss out on some things. And so it's a tough world, and my job is to take care of the business and the people that are part of it.
And with that said, when you're ready to invest in radio and television broadcasting, I'll give you my home number, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support.
Thanks, Marcus. Look forward to having you back again. Please come back.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our special guest from The Prophet, the host of The Prophet, does a great job. Tuesday nights on CNBC, Marcus Lamonis. And there's more to come with Ron Seggi today.
One of the best things I heard about that in that interview was business is more than dollars and cents. It's about people. True story.
Very true. The problem is getting the right people, and that's tough. I've had hundreds of people that have worked for me over both in the music business and in the broadcasting business, owning radio stations and advertising business, and all kinds of businesses that I've been involved with, construction. And people are very difficult to manage if you don't give them a feel that they're part of the game. They have skin in the game. A lot of people want skin in the game more than they want the money. Some people will be listening to what I'm saying and laugh, but I've actually had people that have come to me and said, can I be the program director? And I would say, we don't have any extra money right now. He said, I don't care. I just want to become the program director of your radio station. And putting that nameplate on their office door was enough salary for them to be compensated.
Well, they do say, I've heard it before, that said people aren't, they appreciate recognition more than they do the raise.
That's true. But here's the thing that he mentioned the bigger the organization, the more people you have, and he has thousands of people, okay? And he's so divided, and his time is so valuable between all of his businesses and then this television show, The Prophet, that it's very difficult to micromanage. And a lot of people say, well, why would you want to micromanage? Because if you don't know where every rubber band's going, that could deteriorate into a very serious situation. I'm being over conscientious there, probably over cautious, but the fact of the matter is, it's easy to lose control of everything. So when he says you have to have good people, you do have to have good, but they're not pouring out in droves. They may be good initially, but if they get upset with the company or are not happy for any reason, they'll walk.
Well, sure, if they have no skin in the game, like you said, they got to have there's got to be some desire or something
Right.
built in to help them want to grow with your company. One of the other things that was mentioned in the interview, he talked about being resourceful with his time. It reminds me of something that Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins said, that it's not the resources that you have, but the resourcefulness that matters. Because you don't always have the capital, but you do have time. And you've got to be resourceful to get yourself there. So, he talked about he's managing so many different businesses at the same time, but he's doing it because he's being resourceful. And it's a smart way to do business.
Well, I always said, but I found that when you're in business, it's not the way you want to run the business, it's the way you have to run the business. And that goes back to resources and being resourceful. You run the business the way you'd like to, you give everybody a big raise, a company car, a new house, a swimming pool, a vacation, the whole 9 yards. But you can't do that.
Exactly right. The other thing that I liked about what he said was that most businesses have the same core competencies. Businesses are different, whether you're going to be in the real estate business or you're going to be in the financial services business, whether you're in a car dealer, the core competencies of the business are going to be the same. Businesses are still a business and have to be run like a business.
That's absolutely right. I mean, there's no question. You can't run it like a fraternity. You can't run it like a friendship. One of the biggest problems running a business and having a very good, close relation with your employees, the plus side is that you have a good personal relationship with your employees. The bad side is if they misinterpret that.
Well, listen, as always, it's been great. I learned so much by listening to your interviews, and I love it. And I wanted you to keep on coming back, Ron. Would you do that for me?
I know that. Absolutely, pal. You know it.
Okay, man. Well, I'll see you then next week.
See you, Steve.
Thanks again, folks, for listening to this episode. Marcus Lamonis was Ron's guest, and I think just some brilliant things that he had to say there. If you've got any questions, you've got any comments or any desires, please email me at steve@rearrangingchange.com. And until then, we will see you and talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Rearranging Change. Make sure to visit my website, stevemcchesney.com. Sign up for my newsletter. We'll be talking soon.